Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to have a nice discussion about some of the 2021 quarterback prospects. There's been a lot of names that, of course, you've heard about from the beginning of this season. You've heard about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, but there are really some guys that have performed a lot better than expected, really burst onto the scene here, and we still got some college football left to play, so we will still see some of these guys more. You know, guys like Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, who have certainly done better than expected this year, even throw themselves into the Heisman race. We're going to talk about them and more, and really just break down an early preview of the 2021 QB class.
That's right. Yeah, and we will talk about those guys, but let's start where everyone really figures the first pick of the draft is going to be, and that's Trevor Lawrence. There's so much to like about him. You kind of get tired of talking about him because you just know he's so good.
Yeah.
It was kind of with Joe Burrow. Everyone knew he was really good last year, so it was like, we don't need to talk about how good he is. But let's talk about how good he is. I don't quite have his stats pulled up for this year, but last year, 66% of his passes with 3,665 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions in 2019. I think it said.
If we pulled up his stats this year, it wouldn't do justice to really how good he's doing because he's missed so many games. He had COVID, so I think he had to miss 2 games, and then they had to miss a game because the game was canceled. Was that against FSU? Yeah. So his stats are probably not up there as they have been in the past, but he's having a great season. When he is on the field, he's playing some phenomenal football, and it's really no question from what we've seen from him so far, unless he really flops in the coming weeks, unless he really just somehow does something really bad in the playoffs, and they probably will get there, then I think we see Trevor Lawrence off the board at number 1.
Yeah, and here's his stats for this year.
The Jets
2,236 yards, 19 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions,
and that's going to change.
86.3. So yeah, it's been a rough year around Trevor Lawrence. With him getting COVID, and them not being able to beat Notre Dame because he was out with COVID. Who knows what happened?
They'll get another shot.
We'll find out.
They probably will get another shot at him. You would like to think.
Yeah.
But we don't need to spend 10 minutes talking about how Trevor Lawrence is. If you've watched college football, you've seen how good he's been since his freshman year. So let's keep talking about some other guys. And well, let's talk about the other guy where you kind of know.
This one's a bit more
interesting. He'll be a top 5. Justin Fields was a guy that came out of the scene last year after Kyler Murray left, or excuse me, wrong college. But
college is mixed up.
Was it Dwayne Haskins that left?
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins that left.
And Joe Burrow left too.
Oklahoma, Ohio State, same white and red colors. That got me mixed up. But anyways, Justin Fields, the guy that came out of the scene last year, looked really good. Really only just struggled in that game against Indiana, but he hasn't really played since. But what we've seen him recently wasn't good. But other than that, he's able to run. He's mobile. He can throw the ball accurately and precisely, and he's got a hard arm to throw. He can throw it I'm watching him right now, but he also has the ability to float the ball up. So I would say there's just so much he can do. Kind of reminds me of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
A little less mobile than Deshaun, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But has that entire skill set.
Yeah, I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. And from what we saw this year, he did miss a game because of COVID stuff as well. Now, was it with Ohio State or was it with the other team?
I don't remember who had.
Yeah.
I think they were supposed to play Maryland maybe a while ago. And
yeah.
Got canceled.
But anyways.
And then Illinois too. So they've had a couple games canceled at Ohio State.
Yeah, and Tyler talked about the rough game he had against Indiana, but you do have to remember this guy had more incompletions. He had more touchdowns than incompletions. That's what it was.
Yeah.
At one point in the season, he had a rough game. That was the last time we saw him. You probably not, because this comes out, I think, on Monday. So you might have already saw him this weekend.
Yeah, by the way, I'm reading the stats off before this weekend.
Yeah. So these are all subject to change. So you'll see him. If you're watching this, you probably know what happened in that game. You probably watched him, or at least you saw his stats. So I expect him to continue to play phenomenal football. And really, I think I'm not going to say he's better than Trevor Lawrence, but I certainly think it is close. I like what he's been able to do. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on Justin Fields are that he has a tremendous talent. He's got a great arm, can really stretch the field, make any throw you need to be made. Very athletic, very mobile, as you guys have talked about. But a couple concerns I have with this play are sometimes when he's under pressure, he does make an errant throw or just kind of.
Watson.
Exactly. No, really, yeah. That's why I said that. And then also holding onto the ball too long too.
Everything I see with him, it reminds me so much of Deshaun Watson.
That's not to be too harsh on him.
I don't know why it is. It's just he really puts that picture of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I agree. He's got the
I get Carson Wentz.
What?
Carson Wentz.
Really? From Justin Fields?
I mean, Carson Wentz runs a decent amount too.
Oh, I mean,
he has good escapability. He forces plays a lot of the time too.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd have to think about that more, but I do kind of.
I would
agree
say
with,
Carson Wentz before this year, before the 2020
Yeah,
season.
but I think the things he's good at, a lot of the things Watson's good at, and the things he struggles with are things that Watson does or has struggled with at one point in his career. So that's early college to pro comparison. We weren't trying to do that, and we just did. So that's cool.
Yeah, a small sample size for his 2020 stats at 1,208 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks, 94.4 QBR. So not bad from Justin Fields. Those are the two top guys where most people will have them 1 and 2 on their quarterback draft boards heading into next year. So I want to open this up to you guys. I don't know if any of you have number 3 quarterback right now.
I do.
If you do,
I have
Jordan,
a tentative now.
All right, so Jordan, you go first, and maybe Ryan will agree with you.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch the film, obviously, after the season's over. And even during the season, just continue to watch games as they're live. But right now, I really like Mac Jones. I really like what he's been able to do this year. On our podcast, we had a discussion if this Alabama team this year was better than the Alabama team last year with Tua playing. And they both said that they are better this year. I think Mac Jones has been a big part of that. That wide receiving core is also great. Najee Harris, the running back, he is a stud. But I really have loved what I've seen from Mac Jones. He is at top of the Heisman rankings in all of our opinions, I think. And I think he is just a really good quarterback. Learned under Tua, learned under a great system in Alabama. And honestly, I think he's pushing right next to Justin Fields, in my opinion. I think it's that close.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe he leads them to that was my number 3 too, by the way.
That's what would be mine right now.
Yeah, I mean, we still
There's a lot
got
of
the season still gotta go through, and then you gotta watch the tape, and then you really start to because right now we're watching these guys just for fun. I don't really do too much scouting while I'm watching a game. Like if a guy makes a good throw, I'll take note of that, mental note. But I usually don't have a notebook there. I just want to watch the games and then after the year we'll watch more film. Although I do watch some film during the year, but that's not the point.
What we don't tell you is on Saturdays we're all in front of my TV, just on our computers, typing in notes of what goes on.
Some people do that.
I want to watch the game and enjoy it, and then after the fact, once we get after the year, kind of reflect and see what's going on. But with Mac Jones, I mean, you mentioned he's in a good system, but whenever anyone's in a good system, the concern is always, are you actually that good, or is it just you're coaching the Alabama system, those great receivers? Which I don't think that's that much of an issue with him. I mean,
they lost their speed guy in Jalen Waddle.
I think he is not. Yeah, I think
down.
They lost their speed guy in Jalen Waddle. They also lost 2 good receivers to the draft last year, and they're still playing great.
Yeah, so critics of him are going to definitely bring up that point. The Alabama system, is he a system QB? Is he a game manager? I don't think that's something I'm going to have an issue with. I'm not going to call him that because I don't think he is that unless something changes.
You can make the same statement with Justin Fields, I guess, because they do have a good system. We saw Dwayne Haskins go through it, and he was a top prospect. Ryan had it at number 1. He ended up going at number 15 to the then Redskins, and right now he's not starting. And so that just kind of goes to tell you that you could make that same argument with other people as well, with other schools. But
then the now Washington football team, just to make that clear.
Yeah.
But they were that name at that time. They read off
that
Mac
name
Jones
no
stats.
longer has any meaning for them.
That's right. Mac Jones stats in the 2020 season: 2,728 yards, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 95.5 QBR. So
good great stats, but the guy who's going to read off next, he probably has some better stats, especially in the touchdown margins, right?
Well, I'm guessing you want me to talk about Kyle Trask.
I do.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about Kyle Trask next, and as I pull up his stats, as you wanted me to do, I'm going to have Ryan start us off.
So with Kyle Trask, I think you definitely see a leap in play from last year to this year for sure. And obviously, I think that he does a lot of things well. I mean, he's really gotten that Florida team in a great position. They finally beat Georgia this year. He's done great things against some good defenses. I mean, their offense is just so unstoppable. The connection with him and Kyle Pitts was out a few games. Let's not forget, is virtually unstoppable. One of the best in college football. And those two players are a big reason why Florida is where they are right now. I hope they didn't lose Saturday because then it's awkward. But as of right now, they're still sitting pretty as the time we're making this video. So. Anyway, I think that Kyle Trask does a lot of things well. I think he's got overall the accuracy I think has improved. I think he's just stretching the field more because last year when I watched him, I felt like he was kind of uncomfortable in the pocket and he looked kind of young and naive. Which at the time he was not the original starter.
Expected to start.
He was not expected to start. Last year it was Felipe Franks, and Felipe Franks is at Arkansas now, so that's not really relevant at this point. But last year he was a backup.
Other things are relevant though.
Absolutely, and I think that, with Kyle Trask, remember, this guy, I think there was a stretch where, before, his first start with Florida, Like, there was a stretch where, like, he didn't even start a game for a long time at any level. Like, I think it was Derek King's backup in high school or something. So now that this guy is finally getting more experience, I think he's getting a lot better. Just sometimes I feel like he could get a little bit more strength into his throws, some of the footwork. It could improve, but, those aren't, huge things. Those are coachable things, and I think he's doing a great job. He's got that Florida team in a position where they control their own destiny, and, yeah, lots to like from Kyle Trask, and he's really right up there with Mac Jones, in my opinion, for the Heisman. I do think that the SEC championship between Mac Jones and Kyle Trask is essentially the Heisman Bowl.
All right, well, he just told you the SEC championship right there.
I did.
That's what I want to tell you, too, but he said it with confidence, so he knows that Florida's not going to lose another game the rest of the season, right?
Regular season, no.
Okay, there you go.
Big statement.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a statement, but...
Who they play? They play Tennessee. Well, that happened by the time they're seeing this, so I hope they won. But then, is that it? Or they got one more?
I don't know. Where are you? Where are you looking at? Hold on. I could keep going.
I don't know. They'll look for it, but I'll just do my input on Kyle Trask. Just like Ryan said, I really liked what I've seen from him this year. I haven't had time to sit down and watch too many Florida football games just because I've been able to watch many of them. But when I have had the time to sit down and watch Kyle Trask and this Florida Gators team play, I really like them. And last year, they were more carried by their defense. They had a lot better of a defense. This year, their defense has declined, and Kyle Trask and this offense had to take that step up to make this Florida team good. And now they still have a decent defense, but this offense is really carrying this team. It's a lot different from last year, and I think Kyle Trask really took a huge step up. Ryan's talking about how he did not play for a long time. It's a great story with Kyle Trask. It's a story where you just sit behind people for a long time. You keep practicing. You keep working your hardest. When you finally get the chance, you're flourishing right now. He has basically the best stat line in all of CFB right now, so I love what I've seen from Kyle Trask, and I think, yes, Ryan, he is right up there with Mac Jones for the Heisman, and deservingly so.
Yeah, I'll read that stat line in just 1 second, but I do want to be devil's advocate, as Ryan was saying. I think Kyle Trask is really good, and he's been improving a lot through the last 2 years that we have seen him. But there are little things that can get fixed, and those are things that you can fix in the NFL, like Ryan said, his footwork. Even when he makes a good play, sometimes it looks like he gets off his routine or has a misstep and can still make the play, and that's not always going to work when there's pressure around him. Sometimes that can end up poorly, but I would say he's someone that can generate a big play all the time, as we've seen. Obviously, he has Kyle Pitts to help him do that at Florida, but he's got a good deep ball, and he can throw it over the middle very nicely and have his receivers run for more yardage. So there's a lot to like from him. Let's read his stats. There's a lot to like in these stats. 2,810 yards, 34 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So that's all good. And then a 93.4 QBR, which is not the best, but I think it's the third best QBR according to ESPN.
Certainly not bad.
So yeah, it's still very good from Kyle Trask. Now this one's going to be an interesting one. We're going to talk about Zach Wilson next. Just because, why not?
Yeah.
There's 2 more. Well, I want to talk about Zach Wilson and 1 more specifically. But with him, we're going to see a good game against Coastal Carolina. Is that this weekend?
Yeah, they already saw it.
Yeah, they already. You guys already saw it. So whatever he did in that game will probably help or hurt what we're saying about him. But I mean, it looks really good. I would say he's a guy who can see tearing up defenses easily. Kind of would work in a Sean Payton type of offense where they could just slowly move down the field and
Another BYU guy?
Take a deep shot as well. Yeah,
We got Taysom.
They already got Taysom Hill. But it's just the competition. That's the question right now. Do you know what he can do against these SEC defensive backs or whatever it is? But Coastal Carolina is a good team, and whatever you guys saw in that game should prove his skill level. At least to some extent. I'll read the stats, and then you guys can talk about it as well. 2,724 yards, 26 touchdowns, 2 INTs, 88.3 QBR. That's 5th in college football.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't been able to sit down and watch any BYU football games just because they're not up there with other teams that are really shown that much. I'm sure they're on TV. I just haven't been able to find these games. So I can't tell you too much about Zach Wilson from my opinion. But I will tell you what the knock is and what the good thing is. First of all, Tyler's going to read it off in a second. There's no denying he's having a phenomenal season. He's got a lot of touchdowns. He's playing the best football of his life, and he is really leading this BYU team right now. He is a huge part. I don't think the main part. He is the main part to why this team is as high as they are in the rankings right now, even though they think that they should be higher, and a lot of people think they should be higher. But the reason they are not higher, and this is a knock on him and his team, is because what competition has he been playing? It's the same thing with Jordan Love last year. He did really good, but what competition was he playing? How do you weigh that? How do you weigh how good he is and all these stats based off of the people that they're playing? It's very similar from Jordan Love from Utah State last year to now Zach Wilson with BYU this year. Right now, we see Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, which, that shouldn't have happened in the first place. I should have never drafted him. But anyways, so we don't know how good Jordan Love is going to be in the NFL yet. If he was playing, that might be a good indicator of how good that Zach Wilson might be, how it might give a hint towards if that's a good move or not. But that's the knock on him, and that's, of course, the good thing about him, too, is that he's going off this year.
It's really the same, kind of question with him that we have with the BYU team. Okay, it looks, it looks cool, it looks great. You lighten up the score, but the competition is a factor, and like you said, there's questions about players' competitions from people that are not in Power 5 conferences, and I think it's fair, but I don't think you could hold too much against him because even if BYU doesn't make the college football playoff, which they won't, but even if they won on Monday, that's not going to be enough. They won't make the playoff. They're still going to get a pretty decent bowl game, ideally, against a legit Power 5 opponent. So that'll at least be somewhat of a sort of, different type of competition. I don't think it's a huge issue because I really think if you play well, if you've got the skill set, you should be able to be coached well in the NFL, and, it should translate.
Or is that attitude with Jordan Love?
Well, with Jordan Love did not play well in college. And
he played well last year that he was in college. The years before that, he was not playing well.
I don't know about that. And this is, I don't want to get too into this, but Jordan Love was just too Jameis Winston-y for me. There's moments of potential with him, but I did not see it in college. I did not have a first-round grade on him. But the Green Bay Packers did, and time will tell how that turns out.
All right. So, basically, I can probably speak for most of us when we say that we have not watched too much BYU games, so we don't take...
What? Have you watched
the BYU games?
I've watched a couple.
Well, I've watched the highlights of them just to see what Zach Wilson's able to do. But he's a guy that we're still learning about, and we will come draft time. So don't take what we say about him too seriously.
It's a long way until April.
I want to mention one more guy really quickly that we can talk about for a bit, and then I got a couple just to list off. But that's Trey Lance, who played in his showcase game. He only had one. He had 149, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He's a guy to pay attention to. Was really good last year. Thought he would be a top pick, but since North Dakota State is not playing, that hurts him. I'll go through a couple other names just so we can wrap this puppy up. Kellen Mond is a good one from A&M, and his team is playing well right now.
That defense is really good,
Ryan believes they should be in the current playoff right now.
And there's more game.
At least at the time we're making this video, he says they should be at number 4.
Yes.
Brock Purdy's another one. Sam Ehlinger. Tanner Morgan's another one as well.
I watched film on him before the season. I saw some things I liked.
So there are some guys still out there and some late round picks to see what happens with them. But those are the main guys. Let us know what you guys thought about what we said about them. Let us know your opinions about each of these quarterbacks down in the comment section below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. Like I said, comment down below. Go check out our podcast. We talk college football there as well, and NFL. So get all the football content you need there. And with all that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.